Guys, how's it going? Today we're going to be planting some more fall crops out in our raised beds. We are starting here in the greenhouse because I'm also going to be starting some seeds in here. I can't believe we're even looking at this stuff again. It just seems like yesterday we were starting all of our flowers and all of our stuff for our summer garden, but it's exciting. So what we're going to be doing, I've got my stack here of stuff we're going to be planting actually outside. So carrots, there's some lettuce here, spinach, a few more peas, and then today in the greenhouse we're going to be starting some tomatoes. I don't know exactly which ones yet, because first we're going to head out to the garden and take a look at the tomatoes that we've got currently growing. I'm hoping we can take some cuttings off of those and get those rooted in here. If we do find some good cuttings of some of these varieties, like I know we've got Garden Treasure and Garden Gem tomato plants are looking really good. Those are actually up in the raised beds. If I can get some cuttings of those going, then I know I'll have production out of them faster than if I started them from seed. But it's possible I might go ahead and start a few from seed as well, just to try it out. You know, we just last fall retrofitted this greenhouse so there's heat in here now. I did a little bit of experimenting with some warm season crops in here and had really good luck. Like I had corn and beans coming off in like April, which was amazing. But I want to start some tomatoes earlier because last year I think I started them right after Thanksgiving. So if I can start them now, late summer, hopefully we'll have some good fresh tomatoes late in the fall and early winter. And we're only focusing on my favorites today. So we're gonna do the Campari, Garden Treasure and Garden Gem. They're always productive and have really good flavor. Hill Marmande has been a pretty good producer for us this year as well. Bellini, big boy right here, best tomato out in our big garden. And then Patio Sunshine we actually have going right now. So I did start these really early this season and I left them in the greenhouse because I wanted to kind of put them through the paces. You know, we did not put any shade cloth on this structure, so it got really hot. So I think that's maybe why I don't see a ton of growth. I think they just kind of stalled in that heat, but they've been productive the whole time. Like they've been putting on tomatoes and looking really good. This variety I think is Cherry Falls. Am I mistaken? Yeah, Cherry Falls right here. And then we've got two Patio Sunshine, and then we've got, is this another Cherry Falls? Yeah, another Cherry Falls right here. As a very tiny example of what we're going to be looking for out in the garden, see this main stem right here? And then this set of leaves right here, and then that little growth in between. Those are the things that we are typically wanting to pop out, like we cut those out. So we'll look for ones that are bigger than that, of course, and we can trim those out and then pop them down in moist soil, and typically they root and start taking off. That's what we hope for anyway. So that's where I want to start. I'm going to prep some soil in here so that if we do take cuttings out in the garden, I can pop them right down in some moist soil so that they don't sit out for any amount of time. I don't want to stress the plants. And then we'll bring them back in here. They can live in here, well, they will live in here from that point on. And then we're going to also start a tray of seeds. I'm going to be using the organic potting mix for pretty much everything today. I'm going to use it both for the seeds and the cuttings. We'll see how things go. Cuttings, I'm going to give a little bit more space to grow right from the gate. So anyway, I'm going to pour some of the soil into this tray and pre-moisten it, and then we'll load up our containers and head out to the garden. It's perfect. Holds together, but no excess moisture is kind of pouring out, dripping out of there. It's not sopping wet. Tamp it down slightly, and what we'll do is we will make a hole in the center and then take our cutting, pop it in, and just, you know, put the soil around it, and should be good to go. You know, a whole stack of these. I should go grab a couple trays to make it easier. Look at this horde of trays and pots. They come in so handy. Okay, we're stopping right here first before we go out to where the rest of the tomatoes are. We've got a garden gem here. Stayed quite a lot smaller than they typically do for me. And then look at this garden treasure. It's enormous. Oh my goodness. And there are a whole bunch of tomatoes. We have been harvesting off of these, and I harvest off of these more than any other tomatoes because they're closer to the kitchen. So next year, I always say I'm gonna plant less tomatoes, but I'm kind of thinking maybe less tomatoes and putting more of them up here rather than out in the big garden because it's less of a trek and you're just naturally more inclined to pick more of them and use more of them if they're nearby. We should be able to find some good sucker growth on this one because I've done no trimming, no pruning whatsoever, clearly. So if we come in here, let's see, like this one right here. See this main branch right here and then this set of leaves? There's a nice sucker right in between. So we're going to clip that one out, like so. And this is what it looks like. Sometimes they'll be a little smaller, sometimes bigger, but they'll produce roots along their stems right here. So we're just gonna take it over, make a little hole, pop it in there, and plant it. Voila, instant tomato seedling. We're going to label these right away. There we go. So we're just gonna keep going until all 24, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yeah, 24 of these cells are filled because that's what we need is 24 plus tomatoes in the greenhouse. I'm planning on extra because I'm guessing that not 100% of these are gonna take. I'm hoping they do, that'd be awesome. But just in case we lose a few, and I know they're not gonna be as productive as tomatoes out in the garden because, you know, the days aren't as long, they're not gonna get as much sunlight. I could provide them some supplemental lighting, but I don't know how much trouble I'm gonna go through for that. So, I mean, we'll just kind of see how it goes, play it by ear, but I'm just banking on them not producing quite as much as they would normally. And of course, hey Russell, hey. What are you doing, dude? Also, I just sat in the chair of the gator, which I parked too close to the sprinklers, sat in a huge puddle of water. So I'm gonna try to position the camera so I don't catch any angles that show it, but just in case I do, that's what happened. Here we are. You can see that some of them have grown huge and some of them we have pulled out. Some of them are kind of smallish. So anyway, mixed bag results this year, but this right here is a Campari, which these right here are kind of a medium-sized, super sweet, delicious tomato. And these are the only kind that if I have to buy tomatoes from the store in the wintertime, I'll buy Camparis if I need a slicer and just use a smaller slicer, or cherry tomatoes. So anyway, I love to have these around. It's already a really good sucker right here. Look at that. Okay, I'm just gonna keep going until these are filled. All right guys, so I've got them all cut. They're sitting here in the studio where they can rebound a touch. They're wilted a bit. I'm fairly confident they'll perk back up though here and just like give them an hour or two in here, a chance to settle into their new spot. And it's quite hot outside right now. Like I probably should have done this earlier this morning, but things like this, usually like it looks kind of scary right in the beginning, but you know, I'll come back in here in a few hours and we'll take a look and see how they're doing. I mean, we've got plenty of tomato plants. So if, you know, some of these don't thrive or don't survive this transfer, we have time to go grab some more, but I'm pretty confident they'll bounce. But how nice to have some tomatoes that already have some size on them. I mean, they will sit there for a minute to create a root system, but they usually do it fairly quickly. I did on a couple of them, they had little buds forming. I popped those off so that they could focus completely on root development and not trying to set blooms and fruit at this moment. That's not the best idea for those. I thought I would check real quick to see if I had seed starting mix, but I think I'm 100% out. I'm gonna need to place an order here soon. Okay, so now we're gonna head back into the greenhouse and plant that one tray of tomato seeds. Back in the raised garden, I do want to show you the view right behind me. Isn't that just so pretty? I'm loving all of the shade over here in this area, which means, you know, eventually we're going to have to swap out a number of these plants, but oh, shaded in the morning. It does get full afternoon sun, but I just love how it's filling in. This space, however, has been a little bit of a challenge this year. I haven't had a lot of issues in this space. Typically everything grows really well, but we've been having a big issue with spider mites. Spider mites have been worse this year than they have any other year. In fact, that's why I had beans planted. I did a late crop of beans. I planted them in a video for you guys. We got some harvest off of them, and then the plants just got nailed with spider mites. And I just thought, oh, I'm not gonna spray these. We're just gonna pull them all out and get rid of them. So that's what we did. So there's a few clear beds. We've also struggled a little bit with the irrigation this year, and I think it's because I didn't swap out to fresh drip tube on all of the beds. I only did on some, and this is just too long of a run for this 1/4 inch drip tube. So it comes off the faucet here, and then it swings down, it goes back up, and then comes back down around, and in some cases it does it 4 times instead of just 3 passes. I tried to like couple these together earlier on to help with water flow, and it just really isn't doing it. So there'll be some areas of a raised bed, like in the beginning, of course, that the water saturation is really good, and then once you get toward the end, like this side is always dry. So today, and with all the beds that I have cleared out completely, I'm going to run new drip, and I'm going to do it a little bit differently. And then I'm going to come off the faucet with 1/2 inch supply line, and I'm going to run kind of like a header line right here, and then I'm just going to come out from the header line with pieces of the 1/4 inch still, but it'll only be 6 foot runs instead of, I don't even know, what is this, 18, 20 foot run? It's just too long. Also, I was noticing on one of these, yeah, see like this bed right here, you can, let me not shade it here. You can see where the saturation is. Like you can see a little bit here, but it's just not a lot because they get crusted up with hard water, and it just plugs them up. And then that side's not getting any water at all, and that's the end of the row. See how in the beginning there's a little bit of water here, which is not that great of a saturation. Usually you want to see it a little bit more, but then toward the end, like nothing. It's just more dry. I planted green onions in here when I planted the zucchini. I had to replant the zucchini because it just wasn't getting enough water. Same with the green onions. I have one. I planted this whole thing with green onion seeds, and I just didn't realize they weren't getting any water. Need water to grow. So my plan today is to change the drip in this bed, since there's really just only the zucchini to speak of, and then in this bed. We'll plant these 3 up. I'm gonna plant a few more peas in this bed. I mean, this one's doing pretty good. Look at these. These were from our like middle of the summer seeding. These are ready to pick. So good. So we'll toss a few more seeds in here. And then even though the water isn't functioning 100%, I might toss a few seeds, maybe. Yeah, there's some moisture in here. Maybe I'll toss a few seeds in here just to see what we can get going. I'm gonna have a hard time replacing the drip in this bed when I've got a bunch of stuff going on. Same with the others. Like in this bed, we've got the Amazel basil, and then we pulled out some good-hearted tomatoes that had spider mites so bad. Took those out so I can plant something here. You can see saturation's pretty good in this bed with this drip line, so that's good. It's because it's at the beginning of the row here. And then here, clearly the Garden Treasure tomato is getting enough water. We had cabbage here, not much space. I might just leave that because I've got more cabbage plants in the greenhouse. Then we've got Sunspot sunflowers, which we planted July 25th. Can you believe that? Aren't they gorgeous? They're like the perfect size. And then we also planted Cinnamon Girl pumpkins at the same time, July 25th. And we've got a beautiful crop of pumpkins coming on, which is so exciting. You can see a couple more over there. Then we've got leeks, which I've harvested a few. We're just kind of using off of those. And then I've got celery and parsnips in this one. And parsnips will leave because they like to go through a freeze. It usually sweetens them up. I'll show you though. Maybe we can get one of them out of here. Ooh, they're in there pretty tight. Oh. We need a tool. Let's go grab a tool. In fact, I forgot to show you the cabbage plants in the greenhouse, so we'll do that too. A little scattered this morning. Totally forgot to show you my completed tray of tomatoes. So we've got 4 Garden Treasures, 4 Campari, 4 Garden Gems, and then 3 each of Bellini, Big Boy, Patio Sunshine, and Hill Marmande. Here's our 4 little tomatoes. And then these are the cabbage and broccoli that we started on July 25th in trays in the studio. This is their first day out of the studio. It's our last hot day. I put them in this corner because it's usually shadier. But then it's gonna start cooling down starting this afternoon. So excited. Once these have been in this spot for a few days, I'm gonna move them down the way here. You can see we have plenty of space. They'll be in more sunlight, and then we'll gradually acclimate them outside and get these all planted. And that's gonna be a lot of space that these will take up. I mean, it's 24 cabbage plants and 24 broccoli. Okay, let's try to get this parsnip out of here. Looking pretty good. I did not thin these, so they could have sized up a little bit more, but we're gonna leave these in the ground so that they sweeten up with some frost. Okay, so we know what order we need to do things in. We're gonna replace the drip in those 3 beds first, and then we'll run a test cycle and just see what the coverage looks like. I'm excited to test that. And then we're gonna amend with Biotone starter fertilizer, get our seeds in the ground, and then I'm gonna top dress with Land and Sea compost. Pretty straightforward. All right, guys, so I came in with a 1/2 inch adapter that threads onto a 5/8 inch, that's a standard hose fitting. And then it comes down to a 1/2 inch just solid black poly supply line. And then I coupled into it with a 1/4 inch coupler, and then, you know, ran my rows of drip line. It looks pretty tidy. I was able to bury that supply line at the end, so it looks really nice. Okay, so let's find the vegetable garden and run this one. Let's see. Oh my. Oh yeah. Much better coverage. Holy moly. So you see all those puddles forming? If we get all of the beds switched over to this, we'll probably be able to run the vegetable garden for a lot less time. Because right now we're running it for longer to compensate for those areas, you know, so it can kind of sub over and flood into those areas that are not getting proper water. Oh, this is encouraging. Okay, well, it looks like we're gonna be running our drip in this way for the time being until maybe I figure out something better. I don't know. It's awesome. So the system is running in these, that one's leaking over there right at the faucet. And you see one side gets a lot more water, but this one right here, it's running right now. Look at this. Like it's barely, there's 1 drop. Oh, here comes another drop. Yeah, that's not good. Okay, so we're gonna do this bed and this bed right here, and then we'll plant. Got it all done for today. Drip replaced in 3 out of the 12 beds. And then, like I said, as we start emptying out the beds, we can replace the old drip that's in there so that hopefully we're all back up to working order in every single one of the beds. But they're looking really good. So in this bed right here, I've got 4 rows of the drip, brand new drip, and I planted Tom Thumb Butterhead lettuce, which is a really easy to grow lettuce. It's really tender and really tasty. In this bed right here that has a zucchini, I also replaced the drip, and I ended up planting 2 rows of cilantro and then 1 row of spinach because I was out of spinach seed. I ran out, which is so weird. So I left one of the rows exposed. I'm gonna run and grab some spinach seed either today or tomorrow, and then we'll fill in that row. Over here, I planted carrots, so 2 different varieties. I think they're both a Danvers type, but one of you guys sent me out one of the varieties. I want to show you the seed packet because it's so neat. It's from Monticello, so Thomas Jefferson's Center for Historic Plants, and these seeds were gathered from the plants there at Monticello, which is so cool. So Rouge Demi, oh, I don't even want to try to pronounce that, but what a cool seed packet. And then the rest were Danvers half-longs, which I don't know what the difference between this one and the other one is, but we will find out. So 3 rows of this because I had the most seed, and 1 row of that. Carrots is one of those awesome crops that you get growing and then you can just leave them underneath the soil surface. You can come and harvest them right out from underneath snow. In fact, they sweeten with some cold temperatures, and for us they just keep. I mean, in an area where it's super, super wet all the time, that probably wouldn't work out as well, but for us where it's fairly dry, I mean, they get some moisture, we do get some snow, but it's not usually super prolonged. So they tend to do really well. So that was that bed. In this one, I just popped some more Oregon Sugar Pod pea seeds just wherever I could find drip line. So I just popped them all over the place, and as they grow, they'll kind of lean over and use this little support right here. And then I just want to give you a quick update on the Beyond Pinked Caryopteris. This is how they're looking. Similar to when we planted them, but I am noticing that the bloom panicles are starting to swell a little bit more, so that is exciting. And then the last area I planted up is this little section right here, and I just did a mix of iceberg and red leaf lettuce, which I'll just use. I won't let the iceberg head up. I don't even know that we have enough time for that, but I'll just use it as leaf lettuce, which will be great. I did pop a few more carrot seeds in here. I have one little section where the drip line isn't working very well, so hopefully we'll get a few more carrots there. And then in the empty spots that I have left over here, and really here, that's it in here, I plan to put cabbage and broccoli. You know, the first hint of frost is going to take the basil and tomatoes and sunflowers, things like that. So we'll be clearing out and we'll have some more space for a few more things. So that's it for our planting out here. I just went and checked on the tomatoes. They're looking a little bit better, but I thought we would wait a few hours and I'll come back out and I'll show you how they're looking because I'm hoping that they all bounce. So anyway, see you guys later today. Okay guys, it's actually the next morning. I forgot to come out here last night and update you on how these were doing, probably just as well because they needed some time to recuperate. But they are looking so much better this morning. Most of them. I mean, there's maybe one questionable one right here, but I think we're gonna be okay. I think it will pick back up. And I'm gonna look back over these because like there's a few, maybe not that one. I thought I saw some buds over here. Oh, right here. See those buds? We wanna just pinch those off because I don't want the plant sending energy into trying to fruit at the moment. We want them to form roots instead. So I plan to leave them in here for the next couple of days just to kind of adjust, and then I'll move them to the greenhouse where it's a little bit warmer out there. But it got really windy last night and I was really happy that these were tucked in here in the studio. It really is amazing how resilient plants are though. I mean, you guys saw what these looked like yesterday. I mean, I took cuttings when it was really hot out and then I had them sitting in the sun in the gator for a little while until I had the trays filled up. So they were pretty crummy looking, but boy, just give them a little cool temperature, some water, and they just come right back to life. Oh, there's some more buds, hang on. Got them. So that is going to be it for this project. I'm really excited about all of the tomatoes we have going, and even if we get half of them to take, I mean, that's a lot of tomatoes, especially with the tray of 24 we started, so that's 48 tomato plants, not including the ones that I already have in the greenhouse. So we have the 4 little ones, and then I've got some other potted ones I had started last, what was it, late winter? I don't know, they're pretty small. I've cut them back actually, and they're kind of growing back at this point. So anyway, I mean, if we just get a little bit of production in the middle of winter, I think that would just be amazing. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be doing updates on these projects as time goes on, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.